Welcome back to the vlog, y'all. My name is Dominique, and this is the A Tempered Dream channel. On this channel, we do mostly gardening. We do some home decoration. We go to estate sales and we travel. So stick around and you'll see what you're going to get, especially coming into this autumn, winter period, or we're in autumn, but autumn, winter period. When the garden starts to go to bed. Mine has not, and I'm going to show you that today. But drop me a comment and let me know some content you'd like to see. So today we're going to do a garden tour. Let's get started. I have already been working in the garden today, but I said, let me just go ahead and film this garden tour. So this right here, oh, I love when these guys are out. They are my favorites. Look at there. Good morning. And there's a smaller one. So I have a lot of bees, native bees, carpenter bees. I haven't seen any honey bees, but I have a lot of bees come here because I'm one of the only people in my neighborhood with flowers, and marigolds just do great in this climate. They are okay. Even with a light freeze, I've seen them rebound. And so I haven't even had a light freeze, so they'll probably be up for some time. But this right here is the East Garden. And I'm going to show you what I've planted. Trying not to come out here and work, but marigolds need deadheading. You deadhead them and they come back all the more. Okay, so I don't know if you remember our garden map, but I was using the garden map to plant. And so currently what I have in this front row are yellow onions planted in this front row. And in these rows are arugula. And this one, same thing, yellow onions and cabbages. Now the cabbages are growing at a snail's pace. As you can see, that's the cabbage. And it's been in there for weeks. So this doesn't get as much sunlight as these front two beds. But yeah, the cabbage is growing at a snail's pace. But the good thing about it is it can survive the frost. And I'll probably mulch it with some leaves. Over here, we have broccolini, and I left space in between the rows to put garlic in. I don't know how well garlic's going to do out here because, again, it doesn't get as much sun as I thought it would, but the onions are doing, or that's garlic right there, actually. I planted some early garlic back there, and it's popped up, so that's a good sign. Get some garlic planted back here as well. And over here is a mix of mosh, and I'll put that on the screen. That's something my great grandma used to eat, and I honor her in the garden because she's a lot of my garden inspiration. You can see these little tiny bees out here. My late husband would call those sweat bees. But the bees just love it out here, so I'm not going to bother with them. And then you'll see the taller greens. That is turnips. So I have onions in here and turnips, and the mosh planted in between the rows. So this is the East Garden, and it's trugging along. And then, of course, you see kind of on the soil that discoloration. I have to heavily put cayenne pepper out here because we have neighborhood cats, and they dug this up, and I replanted it. You see how that looks turned over. I replanted it, put some more sticks in there, but they are just horrific. If you know of any way to keep cats out of your garden, drop me a comment as well. Okay, so this right here is just like one, I just call it like a front, whoop, this is like a front garden bed. And currently I just scattered seed in here to see what would grow. And I planted, when I had the balcony garden, I had kale. And so the kale was all eaten up because it was summer when I transplanted it, but it's come back in nicely. So I'll be getting a kale harvest here soon. And then I also just broadcasted some mosh. So you see mosh growing up as well, or mache. And then I threw some zinnia seeds. So there's some zinnias popping up. And then these are my Lysanthus here in the front. And I'm going to get a close-up of the Lysanthus. I've got some volunteer beans and, of course, marigolds because I just have marigold seeds everywhere. And back there is a mum and a lone tomato that's still hanging out in November. But take a look at this Lysanthus. Isn't that beautiful? They are the most delicate, beautiful flowers, my favorite. And I hope to do something more with them in the spring. Moving right on over here, we're coming into my citrus area. And this right here is where I keep all the citrus trees. So I have several citrus trees with fruit that is ready to be picked. This is a mum growing here. I forget what this was, but the hummingbird loved it when they were here. And that's a volunteer of some sort. But I have this is a Meyer lemon. This is a variated pink lemon. This is a Meyer lemon. It didn't put on fruit. This is a grapefruit, ruby red grapefruit, and it needs some fertilizer in a bad kind of way. This is a, oh, I forget what this is. I'm going to have to put it on the screen. And then over here, I think this thing right here is like a tangerine. It was just like a tree that they had lost the tag for, so I got a sale on it. But it has been the most consistent producer of fruit. It has all of these fruits on this one little bitty tree. And then this right here is, what is this guy? This might be a lemon of some sort, maybe a Meyer lemon. Right here is where we planted elephant garlic. So this pot is interesting because this had no rhyme or reason either. I was given some carrot seeds that were two years old, and so they couldn't sell them. So they said they'd give them to me. And so, but of course, it didn't produce very many carrots. But from the year prior, I had planted scallions, and the scallions are just now coming up, and they're looking beautiful. I have turnips in here. This is a tomato that volunteered itself. Back here are snow peas, of course. This is a winged bean and a snow pea behind it. And then in between are yellow onions. And of course, more turnips, which those will be getting pulled towards the end of the month. And, oop, I didn't mean to break that turnip green. There's some ants in there. And then in the back is some type of onion. Not quite sure what it is. And I planted an elephant garlic in here as well. And of course, mosh. I've done a lot with the, oh no, this is celery. This is celery because last year celery seed was in here. And so having the celery, the bees are just so plentiful. Having the celery reseed itself. So this is cutting celery. Some of it's cutting celery, some of it's mosh. I believe this is cutting celery right here. Finally, this area right here. So this big, huge plant right here, and I want to show you the stalk on this thing. Look at that. My goodness. This big, huge, beautiful plant right here is called, I'm going to have to put it on the screen. Every time I do these tours, I forget what everything's called. That is so funny. It is an Asian herb, Aoshiso. This is called Aoshiso. It's an Asian herb, and you put it in, we ate it a lot in Vietnam in pho or PHO. We say pho in the States, but it's pho. And so just putting it in Asian culinary dishes, it goes well with, I had it with chicken the other day. And yeah, that's what we were eating it with pork in our pho in Vietnam. Over here is variated lemon. And this, golly, this little bee is such a nuisance. This plant right here is an espalier persimmon. And this persimmon was out in front. And I know now it was up where the East Garden is, and it just wasn't getting enough sunlight. So, and espalier is just this form where I want it to grow flat. So I'm training it to grow flat. It kicked in, I fertilized it, and it kicked in. I'm going to repot it once it goes dormant so that next year it'll be even bigger, but it's looking great. It's not going to produce any fruit. It did the year prior. Back there is more Aoshiso. I have a volunteer plant from last year. I cannot remember what it's called, but it's always beautiful in this season. And then in the very back with the thick, thick leaves is burdock. And I'm going to harvest that burdock this year. And let me zoom you in. Harvest that burdock and use it for tea. So these front beds did not do good, and it's because I got crazy and used some wood ash in them, and it just ruined my soil. So what you see is a lot of small plants, a lot of weeds, and turnips seem to grow anywhere, and we've got some grass growing in there. That looks like a wing bean growing in the back, or it might be a asparagus bean, and a big carrot's growing back there as well. So these beds are kind of disappointing, but I have a plan for them. I'm going to just add some compost on top, and that should bring the vibrance back to them. The soil's just spent in these beds basically, and I need to fertilize them back up.